Throwdown Nation, sorry about that. It is a Monday night, and we are live with episode 43 of the Throwdown. And tonight, it is my pleasure to have with me from the great state of Florida, professional wrestler, promoter, and co-owner of Atomic Legacy Wrestling, Mr. Jason Dugan. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm blessed.
Absolutely. Any day you can start and finish above ground is a good day.
Absolutely.
So, what we're going to do is just go ahead and get started with the first and most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
7 years. I've been doing a good 7 years working the territory.
Nice, nice. Uh, so, who actually trained you?
Um, Honestly, I started with Larry Sabisco.
Really?
Was trained by I was trained by Sabisco. Old school, very very old school.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, the living legend.
yeah, absolutely. And then Matt Morgan, I trained underneath his toolage for 6 months. Um, and then I was trained by Alex the Pug Porto. And then from there, I was trained by Loki, Deanna Perrazzo, Jack Gallagher, Cedric Alexander.
So you've had a quite a wide variety of trainers, and that's good. That gives you all kinds of different perspectives and different fingerprints on your style.
Oh, absolutely. I even was trained by, and still am underneath his tutelage, Elijah Burt, the Pope.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I had a good select of people that took me underneath their wing.
Very good, very good. So, I'm fully aware that training itself is a lifelong thing, but in the earliest days of your training, what would you say was the most challenging part?
Uh, Probably my roles. Um, in wrestling, everything is basically left side. I'm right-handed, so I had issues in the beginning. Trying to do my roles.
Got you. Got you. So something I'll go ahead and mention to everybody that's watching this live. Any questions or comments that you have, go ahead and put them in the chat. And at the end, we'll do a short viewer Q&A session, and all questions and comments will be read and answered at that point. And something we've done in all of these, Jason, is something called the speed round game. I didn't really have a chance to tell you about it before we went live, but
No, that's okay.
basically I've got a list of 10 names. And over the course of this, I'll stop and I'll say speed round and I'll name a name, and you just tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Oh, okay.
So, speed round. Ric Flair.
The best.
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more.
Uh,
He was one of my early early wrestling memories from childhood. I've been watching this stuff since I was around 11, and I just turned 55 a few weeks ago.
so
So,
you're watching all the good wrestling.
oh yeah, yeah. And as a kid, I was watching Florida Championship Wrestling back when
Oh
Gordon Solie
wow, the
was
Briscoes.
still. Oh yeah, the Briscoes, the Grahams. You know, my earliest wrestling memory story arc was Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan back in the early '80s. So,
I had a couple of run-ins with Kevin Sullivan. Great guy. God, bless his soul.
oh
I
yeah,
did a seminar of his years ago, and then he ended up being booked on one of my shows. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, he was booked on one of my shows over in Daytona.
So, have you been a fan of this stuff pretty much all of your life? And if so, what is your earliest wrestling related memory?
Yeah, I have. I'm adopted, so my adopted mom loved wrestling. Hogan, Flair, that was her thing. Luger, Sting. Um, she introduced me into wrestling. Very very little. So I fell in love with it from there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, at what point in your life did you look at the TV and say, I think I can do this?
Honestly,
Was there a particular point?
I was obsessed with wrestling. When I was little, there's very few things I liked. One of them was just pro wrestling. I went
Mhm.
from Power Rangers to pro wrestling. And then, as I got a little older, I like Lizzie McGuire. So I was like a Disney kid in wrestling. I never thought I would do it. That wasn't something that came to my mind. That wasn't until later on in life.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Speed round. Kenny Omega,
Oh man, technician.
for sure. For sure. Watching Omega was really, to a great extent, my introduction to New Japan.
I
And
I agree. Same here. I'm right there with you. I didn't watch Japan. I didn't know it exists until my old tag partner used to watch it, and he'd be like, "Oh, I gotta watch this."
gotcha. Gotcha. So tell us about Atomic Legacy Wrestling. How did you get into promoting? And I love the name of the company. So tell us how the company originated and all that good stuff.
So the founder is my business partner, Alex Red. Um, Funny story, when I was training, Alex was also I think Alex was already been training at this time, but he just loved wrestling, so he just wanted to help out, do ring truck, be a part of the shows, whatever. And there's a lot of politics in wrestling. I mean, which a lot of politics. And
Hmm.
Alex one day looked at me and was like, "Man," he's like, "Dude, why can't we have a promotion that puts the bullshit to the side? No offense, I didn't mean to curse, but put the bull crap
Oh,
to the side and not worry about politics." And he was like, "Man, it makes me want to start a promotion." And I'm like, "Okay." I didn't know he was really going to start a promotion. And
right.
he's from the music world,
Hmm.
Alex is not from the wrestling world. He trained over at 3D, by Bubba and Devon. He
Right.
had the tools, to be a wrestler. Um, he started this promotion back in 2017. I was still training at this time, and I just got released to start working matches with my trainer's permission. And
Hmm.
next thing Alex is running this promotion. He gives me an opportunity, and at the time, I was a referee. I was known as Jeff the Ref on the indie scene, and gave me a spot to wrestle. I helped grow the product, and at the time, I'm being trained by Pope Elijah Burt, and he was trained
Hmm.
by Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
So he's giving me all the right toolage and the knowledge to grow a product. And eventually, Alex brought me on board. I bought into the company with my other partner, David Milan from Fight TV. And yeah, that's my introduction to being a promoter.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I first heard about ALW when I had Jerry Swirls on, I guess a couple months ago now,
Yeah,
and
Jerry.
and he spoke very highly of the company and of you. So I've definitely been excited to have you on, and like I said,
Uh,
as a kid for 7 years, I lived in the Satellite Beach area, so Central Florida was my stomping grounds when I was a kid. So Jerry and I really hit it
uh,
off talking about all that. Um, but
yeah, Jerry Swirls.
yep. So I know also that you're in a tag team, Brothers in Arms, with my recent previous guest, Money Making Jay Guzman. Tell me about all that.
uh, well, Brothers in Arms was a thing before Shay got
Hmm.
in. I met Shay actually at the WXW, the Wild Samoan camp.
Hmm.
Um, I've been wrestling there for quite a while. I might have been the cruiserweight champion at the time. I'm not too sure, but I was another wrestler. The son-in-law Alpha was like, man, if you put him in Brothers in Arms, I mean, you guys look like a team. It would work. And me and him hit it off well. We're from New York, uh, Long Island, so it worked. Yeah, he's a good dude. Um, very good dude. Love Shay to pieces.
Yeah, he thinks very highly of you too.
He's a good dude. My job as a promoter and a wrestler is to pass what I
Right,
know. Um, Shay's learning, and he's got a future ahead of him if you just slow it down. You know,
right.
just slow it down. You'll be just on point. I mean, I have a lot of business dealings with ALW, between Fight TV, um, TNA. I'm doing a lot of different things.
Gotcha, gotcha. Speed round. Tony Storm.
Oh, Tony Storm. Damn, I love Tony Storm. um, Genius.
Yeah, yeah. She has been really doing some good work with the whole timeless thing she had going in AEW.
Yeah, she's took that gimmick. I'm not a fan of AEW,
Yeah,
honestly, but I love what she's
yeah,
doing. And I'm glad they gave her a platform to do it because WWE being oversaturated with female wrestlers, she didn't really get the
right.
spotlight. So I am glad that she got it finally at
Yeah,
AEW.
absolutely. So, away from wrestling, Jason, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Um, Honestly, man, I'm a very simple guy. I like to play video games. I'm very invested in dogs. I love dogs. I got 3 rescue pets right now. Those are like things I'm very passionate about outside of wrestling. Um, Animals and playing video games. I don't really party or anything like that. I've reached a level in my life where I don't care to do that.
Gotcha.
Um, like a backstory of me. I grew up very rough. Um, Very very rough. So my hanging out days are like to me
Yeah.
over.
Yep. Yeah, we actually have 3 shelter rescue Chihuahua mixes ourselves, so I'm
Oh,
completely with you on a love of dogs.
oh.
Dogs are just the
Yeah,
best, man.
I have a German Shepherd. Got a lot of issues, but sweet as can be to
Hmm.
me. Um, I have a
Hmm.
husky, and then I have a collie. I have like 3 big dogs with 3 different mixes.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Isn't that right?
So, what is you said that you're actually from New York. Are you from the city or are you from upstate?
I was born in Brooklyn, and then I lived in Long Island, CI.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, what is your favorite thing about New York, and then what is your favorite thing about Florida?
Uh, it's a different vibe in New York. I'm gonna be real with you. It's such a big different vibe compared to here. Southern state, man. It's, if I'm gonna be honest with you, super racist, super racist. It's just compared to New York, I don't remember dealing with racism in New York really like that because there were just so many, you know, races there.
Gotcha,
And but man, so I love New York because it's super chill and relaxed. I love Florida for its weather.
gotcha. So, speed round. Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, man, I don't know what to say about him. That's a good question. Uh, Small.
Yeah, yeah, he's
He's not the biggest guy, but
yeah,
he's good.
yeah. I mean, he's got plenty of talent, but I'll agree with you. He's a little undersized, but I do think he makes up for that with his work rate and his mic skills. So
Oh yeah, his charisma kills it all. You don't have to worry about his size. I mean, it's a reason why he was on top of NXT for a long time.
absolutely. So they say that the best wrestling persona is yourself turned up to 11. So tell me a bit about in-ring Jason and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
That's a really good one. So the version of me in wrestling is not far from the version of me growing
Mhm.
up. Um, I play a heel everywhere I go. It's rare I play babyface. So Jason Dugan in ring character is a brass, cocky, arrogant guy that knows how to move. He's a hustler. He knows how to use people to his advantage to help him win. Um, Real life version of me back then was very young, arrogant, cocky. Always hung out with the bigger dudes. Big brothers always wanted to look out for him. So what I did was I took my negative life from back then,
Mhm.
growing up, and I turned it into a positive by bringing it into wrestling and proving to younger people that it's never too late to dream big and do the right things. You don't have to always do the wrong things. You can change your life around. I know that personally. I've been to prison,
Mhm.
so I know how it is to be told you're a bad kid, or or you're not going to amount to anything, or you're going to be dead at 18, or I know how it is. I overcame a lot of that, so that's usually my goal, is to try to pay it forward to somebody that's went through similar situations as me.
Gotcha. If you don't mind my asking, how long were you in prison and what were you in for?
Oh, honestly, I don't mind. I was in prison for five
Okay.
years. Um, I got in trouble for
Okay.
arson. Um, Long story short, my cousin set a building on fire. I don't know if I should say what it was, but he set a building on fire. I wouldn't tell on him, so they charged me. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually glad they did charge me with it, because if they didn't get me for that, they were gonna get me for something else. Um, I was in a very negative space back then.
Mhm.
So I was gonna eventually be behind bars with something, and I think getting in trouble for something I didn't do saved my life in the long run. And it gave me a direction and something positive to do with my life, because I was in prison and I was like, okay, this is how prison is. Do I want to be here for the rest of my life? Do I value my life? Could I do more? And the answer was yes. And so I spent my 5 years. I learned. It made, honestly, it gave me the tools to grow up, be a man, and want more out of my life, and to cherish your freedom, to cherish life, because all life is precious.
Absolutely. And sometimes at certain points in our lives, we need that kind of a wake up call. And it sounds like you got it and you made the most of it, and that is awesome.
It's all honestly, it's
Yeah.
God. At the end of the day, when I surrendered and asked for forgiveness, I was able to move differently in my life. I was very negative. I had a very negative headspace. Um, I was constantly angry. Um, when I gave all that away and I surrendered, um, my life was so much easier. It was an uplift. It was like a weight off my. I just had to learn to start forgiving others.
Yep.
Buddy.
Yep. But but as you know, man, our God is an awesome God.
Absolutely. Hello.
So so tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts going into it and your thoughts coming out of it? All that good stuff. I see your boy.
Yeah, I know my husky's trying to figure out why daddy ain't feed him yet. I know. We'll wait for a
Ah,
bit, buddy. Yeah, he's a big baby. He just woke up. But my first match, oh wow, my first match. I wrestled Jesse Neal in my first match. I don't know if you're familiar
okay.
with his work. He was trained
The
by the
name the
three.
name rings a bell.
He used to be in TNA. He had like the big mohawk. He teamed up with Shannon Moore on Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
Um, he was my first match. Honestly, he was my first match because he felt like I didn't respect him.
Oh,
So he forced my trainer into a match with him because in wrestling etiquette is to shake hands. And
right.
mind you, I just got out of prison. So in prison, kind of keep to yourself. You don't bother nobody if you don't know them. So I had a very prison mindset coming out.
Mhm.
And he didn't know I came out of prison, and I didn't know who he was because he wrestled on TV when I was in prison, obviously. So
Right.
I'm like, bro, we don't got cable, so.
Yeah.
And he felt like, oh well, he doesn't know who I am. I'm gonna show him who I am. So I was
Yeah.
forced into this match that I was still in training, and he found out I had a lot of brass. I had a lot of balls on me, and I was tough. And he loved me from there. I had a good match with him, and he ended up becoming more of my mentor for the first few years in wrestling. Um,
Gotcha.
Taught me how to do certain things. Yeah, Jesse was such a good dude. Between him and Wes Briscoe, were guys that took me underneath their wing in the beginning.
So we've heard about your first match. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of, if you can narrow it
Uh,
down.
I've worked so many great guys, honestly. Um, but I probably have two favorites if I think about it.
Okay.
First one was Elijah Burt. Me
Mhm.
and Elijah Burt had an I Quit match. And when I tell you we beat the hell out of each other, we beat the hell out of each other for real. Because it was like a student learning from the teacher. And I remember there was a part in the match, Elijah slapped me in the beginning of the match. And I was so mad that he hit me, and I understand why he hit me like that. I hit him back,
Okay.
and he spits blood out. That's how hard I hit him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, man, forget this, because again, I was locked up, so it's like I revert back to it. And he was like, he looked at me across the ring, spit the blood out, and said, "Good kid, you're learning." So it was one of those moments where it's like it was a learning experience without knowing that you're learning,
Right.
and it was just such a good match. I mean, it was such a great match. And then my second favorite would be with JTG. Um, Me and JTG just had a banger.
Mhm.
And we had a banger just for the match to end with Low Key coming in, beating him up.
Ah. So, what is the longest distance you have driven to get to a match?
Ooh, hmm. Arkansas, I believe.
Okay,
I believe Arkansas. I got a rule. Uh, I'm down to drive Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, but anything further than that makes me a little iffy. Maybe
gotcha,
Tennessee. Tennessee, I'm down to do.
gotcha, gotcha. So, Arkansas was a little bit outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it really was, dude. It was such a long trip. And I still do business with them, but I normally fly.
Gotcha. So I know that really the two main ways of preparing for a match are either working it out with your opponent in the back or just deciding to call it in the ring. Do you have a preference between those two methods?
I can do both because I was trained very old school.
Hmm.
Um, if you just tell me what the finish is, we'll call it. I normally don't call what I do in heat, anyways. I will tell you I might do this or I might do that. I'll let you know. That's how I do it because I want to feel the crowd out.
Gotcha.
Um, I know a lot of people feel comfortable calling it in the ring. I do too. Like I can tell, like my partner Shay. Shay has to
Hmm.
call it in the back. I'm talking about he'll call like 3 or 4 times to where they'll call it one time to me and I'll walk away because I remember the match. Okay. Well, I don't need to call what I need to do. So okay, thanks. Shay,
Gotcha.
he'll ask you like 5 times. It makes me laugh. He's like, so when is this? I'm like, bro, this is during the shine, bro. The shine. That is what they're doing.
Yep. Speed round. Xavier Woods.
Oh man, lovable.
Yeah, he has made a career out of being lovable.
I randomly ran into him a long time ago, and it was our first encounter. Um, we were staying in the same hotel on the same floor,
Mhm.
everything. He just got done. I feel like he was doing SmackDown or something, and I just got done doing tapings with MLW.
Oh,
So
okay.
he saw a Nintendo Switch in my hand, and he's like, "Bro, what kind of games you got in there?" That was Xavier Woods.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and then I
Total
seen him.
gamer.
Yeah, then I seen him again at CEO Gaming because I used to do the ring setup for CEO Gaming, and
Mhm.
he would always remember me after that. He's like, "Hey, you had the Nintendo Switch, bro, right? You're the guy at the hotel."
Yep, yep,
Yeah, but lovable.
for sure. So, if you have worked in other countries or cultures, how do you handle language barriers when interacting with fans or even working with your opponents?
Uh, so I really haven't had to deal with the language barriers yet. Once maybe, and
Okay.
that was a Spanish show. Uh, this is why I'm glad I have a tag partner that speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was funny. We had this match with two Spanish. They spoke no English, and I'm
Okay.
like, crap. I'm in the ring with these guys for the double down. So I told Shay to tell them, hey, listen, when I yell Feliz Navidad, that means double down. And Shay's like, are you serious right now? I was like, yeah, tell him I said Feliz Navidad is the code word for double down. So he tells him Feliz Navidad is the code word for him for double down. So I guess I just use code words.
Did he say how they responded to that?
They just smiled and went, see. I was like,
Oh.
yeah, Feliz Navidad. So you can hear me in the ring. It was during the about to be a double down. I started screaming, Feliz Navidad! Feliz Navidad! And I can see my partner just looking at me with so much disgust. He had so much disgust in his eyes. He's like, yo, this dude's a clown.
So
Needless to
if
say, it
you
was a
could,
good match.
oh, no doubt, no doubt. If you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Dang, not to be cocky, but I'm really good at both.
Hey, that's a blessing.
Yeah, because usually people are not, but I'm very good on the mic. And then my psychology is on point in the ring. But if I had to choose one, because if I didn't have any skills,
Hmm.
the mic. And the reason why is because I can be the most trash wrestler, but if I have charisma and I can talk, whoever's booking me, whoever is trying to market me, can sell me to anybody just because I can keep people entertained.
Absolutely. So, what has been your most unusual encounter with a fan?
Um, there's been a couple of them. Um, Fans are like super nice. Like I don't really talk to the marks, to be honest with you. That's something that I was trained not to. I'm very respectful, but I don't try to have conversations with the fans without saying hi
Gotcha.
or bye and move on. I remember I had one girl a long time ago, some years ago. She would like hit me up. She was a wrestling fan, and she would like
Hmm.
super stalk me, and like wanted to see if I wanted to hook up with her and everything. And I was in a relationship, and I was like, "Yo, like that's crazy."
Gotcha. Gotcha. You know, it's funny, the good in the ring or good on the mic question, I've asked that to every one of my guests, and it's almost a 50-50 split. I find that question just really interesting, because, like I said, if I were to work out the percentages, it's about 50-50.
Well, people usually that pick the mic and they have to pick one, they know that they can keep a job being on the mic. You could be a great
Right.
wrestler, but if you don't have charisma, your shelf life is very short
Gotcha.
because you
So
can
can
get a good wrestler anywhere.
Right, right. So, can you share an example of a time when you had to completely improvise during a match?
Like elaborate, like when someone screwed up or something.
Yeah, when something went sideways in the match and you had to completely sort of figure out how you were going to salvage the match.
Oh man, I can't even really think of that one. Pretty much every match kind of goes that way if things don't go correct. Um, it's usually multi-man matches that happens for me. Um, I just learned the formula not to get mixed into the craziness of everybody fumbling the ball.
Gotcha.
Um, but I can't really think of one that was really hurtful. I know recently me and Shay did a tag match against Ariel Dominguez and Ryzen,
Hmm.
and I remember somewhere Ariel forgot his spot, and I can hear Ryzen screaming, "Where the heck is Ariel?" Because he was supposed to jump on Shay and take him down, and then me and Ryzen was going to finish off the match. But nothing as of recently where it was like, oh man, it stands in my mind.
Gotcha. So, in terms of your in-ring work and your promos, who or what would you say are some of your influences? And it can be other wrestlers, it can be pop culture, any of that. Um,
Mm, honestly, for me, it was Flair and Hogan. Um,
okay.
that was my inspiration on promos and a little bit of The Rock.
Hmm.
Um, man, it was just a few guys I enjoyed and I was able to like make it my own. Jericho, Rock, Hogan, Flair, um, R Truth when back in 2002 when he was in TNA. His promos were just amazing, you know, the gimmick he was playing. Those were guys that I was able to like really learn from on timing, the cutting promos, especially Flair when he was with the Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Flair and the Four Horsemen promos were just amazing.
Absolutely. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you could have watched it a million times and it just never gets old, and there's always some new little nugget you can pull from it.
Uh, Hogan and Rock was one of my favorites. I've probably seen that match so many times. Just they didn't have to do anything to keep the crowd standing.
Right.
That first shove off that Hogan did to him, people just lost it. And I remember thinking like, "Oh wow, that's so cool." So that Hogan and Rock WrestleMania 18.
Gotcha. And this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent for you? Who would Jason Dugan love to work?
Honestly, I've had the honor and pleasure to work a lot of my dream opponents from JTG and Elijah Burt. Especially JTG was like my 4 years in the making match. Um, but if I had to choose someone else, it would be Homicide.
Homicide?
Homicide, there's so much similarities between me and him. I think
Mm-hmm.
Homicide would be my dream opponent.
Got you. Got you. So you've been doing this for a number of years now, so this probably applies. And that is what hurts right now.
Uh, Nothing hurts right now as of late.
Well, that's
Usually
good.
it's the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the back is a little sore from all the bumping, but I'm feeling pretty good.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, surprisingly, right?
So, what is the most significant injury that you have suffered wrestling or training?
Mm, my wrist. I haven't taken really severely anything. Um, my wrist was hurt for a while, for like a year, and I kept wrestling on it, and it was like it hurt like a motherfucker. And my neck. It was to the point my neck was so stiff that I couldn't even turn it left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was wrestling on it for a whole year, and that was the beginning of my wrestling career.
Hmm.
Just because I wouldn't stop.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And you finally figured out to start taking the time to actually let it kind of heal up a little bit?
I learned to stop doing everything in the ring, stop letting people convince me into, oh yeah, it's a good idea to do it. I learned to say no.
Gotcha. So, what are your thoughts on the current state of the business?
My thoughts. Um, Honestly, there's a lot of opportunity in wrestling right now. Um, if you're a wrestler and you're not getting any work, then you're not doing it right because there's right now this is the golden opportunity for wrestling. It's red hot right now, and
Yep,
there's no way you're not going to get opportunity. So I love it because you
absolutely.
see AEW and then WWE and then TNA and I'm doing business with TNA, so there's so much opportunity out there.
Right, right. And like I said, earlier, I've been a fan of this stuff for, over 40 years. And right now is one of the most exciting times to be a fan just because there is just so much of it. You've got three, big companies doing well, and you've got all of these indies that are putting out great stuff. You know, that there's literally a style of wrestling for just about anybody right now, and so many places for guys to work and hone their craft. You know, it's definitely exciting.
No, it is. There's so much going on in wrestling. I'm excited what's going on in the future for wrestling. Everyone's getting opportunities. I mean, think of it. I mean, recently on SmackDown, they had the Motor City Machine Guns win the tag titles. Who thought that
Right.
10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Yep. Yep. So if you could give, knowing everything that you know now, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Uh, Listen. If I would have just listened, I could have avoided a lot of things. Just kept my mouth shut and listened. The listening is so important.
For sure. For sure. And do you have any advice for any young people that are looking to break into the business?
Um, Train at a reputable school. Train from someone that has been in the business, that knows the business. Someone reputable, not somebody from the backyards, not no
Right.
backyard wrestling. Somebody that can actually help you own your craft. That is always my advice to people, to really look into the trainers before going into any school.
Gotcha. So, do you have a favorite move, something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be
Uh,
taking or giving.
One of my favorite moves I do is a flatliner into a Koji clutch submission.
Okay.
Um, I love doing that move, or a cutter. I usually do a cutter in all my matches. Um, a move that I won't do is probably a 450 splash or something.
Yeah.
I ain't doing no 450 splash. I ain't diving out of a ring. I ain't doing none of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw on YouTube a short clip of you giving a cutter to Jake Hager. That was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I love working him. Jake Hager was awesome.
So, do you have any pre-match traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Not really. Just talk to my opponent, talk to whoever. Um, I try to leave the outside world problems out of my head going into any match. So I try to focus on what's going on around me. You know, that's pretty much my tradition. You don't want to go into a match with your head all over the place.
Gotcha. So, something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So, my previous guest was actually a wrestler from Charlotte, North Carolina, by the name of Gary the Love Machine Strider. And he posed this question, and that is, what has been your biggest career setback, and how have you handled it?
Um, I can't even think of any setbacks I've had. Um, I think maybe one. Um, People, depending on, because wrestling's very jealousy. Um, I had an opportunity. I was doing business with iHeart, which I still do. Um, and someone decided to let iHeart know, like, hey, he was in prison, he's a felon, um, and they tried to use that as a tool to ruin business that I had with them. And I was upset at first, and I was mad. Um, how I handled it was I didn't let that stop me for what I was doing, and we were able to compromise and figure out a way where I was still doing business with them, and they didn't really care about me being in prison or whatever. And I dealt with it in a very positive way instead of reacting negatively. So for a career setback, always think positively, because what seems bad now won't be bad later if you just figure it out in a positive manner.
Gotcha. And that's also a really good example of not letting your past define you.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna let that happen. I've had a lot of struggles in life, and I like to push forward, um, keep positive thinking, and then do the best in my life.
So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest? And I can go ahead and tell you the next guest is going to be on Wednesday. I've got a wrestler from here in the Atlanta area uh, by the name of Jamian Watts, and he goes by the Louisiana Hot Boy.
Huh. Um,
And it doesn't have to be particular to him, but do you have a question that you would like to pose?
yeah. Does championships and wins matter?
Oh, good question. How would you answer that?
Um, they don't. um, at the end, if you're looking at it in a business sense of things, um, it doesn't matter if you lose. Doesn't matter if you win. How much money am I drawing? Who's all coming to see me? Am I marketable to the promotion? Am I going to be a belt mark because I have a championship, or am I going to worry about the money that I'm actually drawing for the product? Um, some people forget that they should. It's great to have a championship. I mean, I have many championships myself. Um, but you should think about, what can I do for this product, to invest in me. So for me, championships and wins don't matter. It's, what am I doing to make myself marketable and undeniable, so when they do put a championship on me, why is this championship making me, or am I making the championship?
Gotcha. Gotcha. So we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Atomic's got a lot of stuff coming up. November 9th, we have a Comic Con in Merritt Island Mall over at Merritt Island, Florida. Um, I assume I'm defending the Hype Pro tag titles over there with Renee Michelle. Um, and then November 30th, Atomic has Next Level in Cocoa, Florida. I'll be doing a open challenge for the Atomic Championship. And then Atomic has another show December 15th in Cocoa, Florida. Um, we have a lot of big stars coming into that one. A couple of former WWE guys, like Elias, he'll be there. Um,
Cool.
the one guy who was Reggie in WWE, he did the 24/7 thing. He did all the flips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'll be there. Sydney, he'll be there. Um, and then I got Champ 7 November something, which I can't really remember. So I usually stay active.
Gotcha.
And then
Gotcha.
January 25th next year, we yeah, is it 25th or the 12th? January 12th, Hype Pro Wrestling will be doing a show.
Gotcha. So yeah, you've got a pretty full calendar coming up. That's great.
Yeah, it's a blessing at the end of the day. I love it.
So Big wrestling related news item of the day. It was announced earlier today that John Bradshaw Layfield, old JBL, has joined the board of directors for AAA in Mexico and plans to begin trying to make major inroads in the U.S. market in 2025. What's your take on that?
That it's kind of funny that JBL's the one doing AAA. I mean, think
I
about
thought
his
so
gimmick.
too, actually. Yeah,
This is the same guy who was chasing people back on the border in '04.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
damn
I
Layfield.
thought there was I thought there was a lot of irony to that as well.
That made me laugh when you just, I was like, oh, they picked that guy. His whole gimmick was like, he was like Donald Trump, you know? He was Donald Trump before Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Remember, he was chasing people over the border. You remember?
yeah,
That's
I do. I
hilarious.
do.
Good old Bradshaw.
Yep, yep. You gotta love
Oh,
it.
that's you can't write that.
No, you can't. And
Ugh.
truth is stranger than fiction, man.
Yeah, good old John Layfield. He's helping Triple A get come over here. Yeah, when he was chasing them
Yeah.
away.
Yep. Yep.
Nah, he made it. He made his WWE run doing that. You know, remember he was chasing the freaking Spanish
Oh
people
yeah.
away. Remember they were
Yep.
jumping over the border and he was chasing them with his hat.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, now he's letting them come in.
Yeah. He's bringing them in.
Yeah, freaking JPL. Oh man, I didn't think that was gonna be a thing. That's perfect.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you for that news.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Jason, thank you for your time. This has really been awesome, and I wish you the best, and I wish
Thank you,
ALW
brother.
the best.
Thank you.
And consider yourself as having a standing invitation to come back. You're part of the Throwdown family now,
Thank you,
and
brother. I truly appreciate that.
and for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays, thank you for that.
Hello.
This,
Is that my
this thing is
puppies?
this thing's really taking on a life of its own. Like I said, this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be back with episode 44 with the Louisiana Hot Boy, Jamie and Watts. And
Come on,
then
up.
this coming Sunday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll have episode 45 with another Georgia-based wrestler, the wild card, Dallas Cage. And what we're going to do now, before we end this, is I'm going to take a look at the chat here and see if we've got any questions. Okay, actually, Gary Strider, the guy that posed that question, actually asked me to ask you, for wrestlers wanting to get booked at ALW, what would you like from them?
Ugh. Don't bother me. I'm all booked up. I'm tired of you. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That's the inner me that talks. That's the inner me that talks. I'm so tired of people bothering me. Um, just hit up the atomic page. Um, for him, if he's trying to get booked, just say that he saw this podcast, so I know it's directly from him. And
Gotcha.
just send over your resume and some video footage, bro, and I'll definitely take a look at it for sure. Um, I'm always happy to bring in out of state workers, workers that are looking to be on a good platform. So it's always a pleasure of mine to just check other people's content out.
Gotcha. Well, I can say, I haven't seen a ton, but what I've seen of Gary's work is actually really solid.
Oh,
So
awesome.
hopefully he'll send you some stuff, and y'all can maybe do some business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If he just sends it over, and I'll definitely look at it, and I'll, he just needs to just let me know that he watched this podcast.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So tell him just
Well,
go over to the Atomic page or personally message me.
gotcha. Gotcha. Well, anyway, like I said, Jason, thank you for your time, and everybody have a wonderful night. And I'll be back Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and then this coming Sunday also at 7 p.m. In the meantime, everybody just love each other and just keep throwing down.